Okay, I chose to do my profile project on B.F. Skinner, so this is what he looks like. So a little background information on B.F. Skinner. He was born in Pennsylvania. He was born in early 1900s, I think 1904. He was born to a middle class family. Actually, his one of his brothers died at the age of 16, so which is kind of sad. But he was born in Pennsylvania. He did really well in his English and literature classes, but ironically, because he's a scientist now, he became a scientist, but he was not good at science back when he was studying school. And then for his way to earn money, he played in the band and orchestra, so he must have been very musically gifted. In college, he majored in English, but he failed to write. I guess he didn't write very well about human behavior, so he decided to describe human behavior and psychology scientifically. So this is where he decided to get his master's and doctorate degrees in psychology. So Skinner is considered the father of operant conditioning, which he based this work off of Thorndike's law of effect. And the law of effect is behavior followed by pleasant consequences will most likely be repeated, while behavior followed by negative consequences will most likely not be repeated. And I think operant conditioning is very relevant today. It's one of the reasons why I chose to talk about B.F. Skinner and do my presentation on him, is because we see operant conditioning around us. It's the way our parents raised us, with you get time out if you yell at your sibling, or you get a gold star on your paper if you do a good job, and it's seen all around us, and I think it's very relevant today. So operant conditioning is very similar to the law of effect, and it's a learning style where behavior is more likely to reappear if followed by a type of reinforcement, and it is less likely to reappear if followed by punishment. And in the book, it distinguishes between distinguishes the difference between respondent behavior and operant behavior. Respondent behavior is reflexive while being evoked by a stimulus, and operant conditioning or operant behavior is emitted by the organism and controlled by its consequences. This controlled by its consequences means that the behavior of the individual or the organism is a response to the consequence that they received. In other words, this is a way to shape and control behavior. So I'm going to describe positive reinforcement with the use of a Skinner box. A Skinner box is an operant chamber, and it is used to demonstrate operant conditioning or positive reinforcement with animals. And he often conducted this experiment with rats. So if you can see right here, there's an operant chamber and there's a rat, and on the outside of the chamber there is a food dispenser. So if the rat is able to press on the lever, it receives food. So the behavior is pressing on the lever, and the water is the reinforcement, which makes the rat keep pressing the lever if it wants food. For humans, a reinforcement device could be receiving money for doing a paycheck for doing a really good job at work. So that demonstrated positive reinforcement. Now I'm going to talk about negative reinforcement, which is the other side of positive reinforcement. And negative reinforcement is which it strengthens a response by removing a stimulus that isn't wanted, or a negative stimulus. So using the Skinner box as an example, pretend the rat had like a tiny shock collar around its neck, and it kind of shocked the rat like constantly. And if the rat were to press the lever, it would remove the negative stimulus or the shock. And an example of this in humans would be taking Pepto-Bismol if your stomach hurts, or if you're dehydrated, drinking a bunch of water to get rid of your dehydration. So those are a few examples. Then on the other side of reinforcement, we have punishment. Punishment decreases a behavior, while reinforcement increases a behavior. So there's also positive punishment and negative punishment. And positive punishment is putting or administering a negative stimulus onto the individual. So, for example, if you're caught speeding by a policeman, he'll give you a speeding ticket, hoping that, or to encourage you to not speed again. Or a negative punishment is removing a positive stimulus. So, taking a child's toy away for yelling or for hitting their sibling. So Skinner had a certain opinion about the use of reinforcement and punishment, and he believed that reinforcement is more effective than punishment. And he believed that punishment does not weaken or get rid of a behavior. And the use of punishment may have an immediate effect, but it won't last, while reinforcement will be lasting. He believed that the behavior associated with the punishment is likely to reappear after the punishment is withdrawn. And he says that despite its ineffectiveness, it is used because it is reinforcing to the person administering the punishment. Then he had beliefs on theory, and he believed that, or he rejected theoretical aspects of logical positivism, and he was an operationist, or he accepted operationism. He didn't believe in the use of theories, and he believed that useless research came from theories, and that is a waste of time because many theories are proven to be wrong. And then he argues that research should be purposeless and disorganized without the guidance of a theory. And this, for me, this is called descriptive behaviorism, but for me this was kind of confusing because how do you even begin to research something or experiment with something if you don't have a theory about it? And how do you conduct an experiment if it's disorganized? That's my question about that. And then his general rule for using all of his principles and everything that he came up with is if you change reinforcement contingencies, you can change behavior. And that is the end. And that is my references. Oh.